what's up, everybody? We're coming at you with another tier list. You already know what it is. Jay, what's going on with your face?
I had an itch, so I was trying to get it.
Perfect. All right. Well, now that Jay's got the itch on his face, we're going to run through the super rares. Now, we talked about the D23 cards. We talked about the legendaries. I don't even remember what the other one was, but we did another one. And
Mickey's.
Oh, yeah, all the Mickeys. And we even missed one, I think. So we're going to talk about that Mickey here and the rest of the super rare cards. So let's go.
And I'm here for this one, so you can expect a respectable list.
All four of us are part of this experience.
We no longer have to
You can ignore
channel.
at least one of our takes. You know which one. So Aladdin, guys, what do you guys think about Aladdin? Jay, I'll throw it to you first.
Oh, sick. Yeah, sure. I would say A tier, maybe S tier. I think he's super good. He's one of those characters that, like, as soon as you put him down, your opponent needs to have an answer. Otherwise, that's a pretty big 4 lore swing that can do a lot. So yeah, I really like this dude. He shifts, so you have a chance to use him immediately. If not, you're probably playing purple, so you got a pocket watch anyway to go ahead and throw him down and start doing things and stuff.
Those are some good arguments.
So I'll say A.
Okay. David.
Next.
Yeah, I want to disagree, but I can't. It's definitely a high A. I wouldn't put him S tier, but I do think this is some of the best lore control we've seen in the set. The fact that he can pop down makes that either 2-cost or 3-cost Aladdin always a threat on the board. And we're obviously seeing him a lot right now in this like Ruby Amethyst online meta. So yeah, I think he's an A+.
Yep, right alongside with you guys. Just the fact that the other Aladdin also is you lose lore. It means that currently control is rocking everybody, and this guy lets that happen. And so yeah, I would say just A to maybe low A. Like, he's good for what he does, but the reason that deck's so good is more of the like creature control. This just lets the game go a little bit longer, so it adds to it. I don't think necessarily Aladdin's the reason, but I'd still say low A.
I think if you shift it, it's an S tier card. I think at paying 7 for it, it's like low A probably. So I'm in agreement with you guys. I think A is the right spot overall for Aladdin here.
I think it's also worth mentioning. Jim mentioned it, and I forgot to say it, but the little Aladdin, they lose a lore too. So it's almost like 2 and 1, where it's like you make them lose a lore and then you make them lose 2 more. So it's like almost a 3 lore swing if you can pull it off.
All right. Well, on to a maybe more interesting one. I think there might be a little bit more disagreement here. We've got Mulan. We didn't read off what Aladdin did, but I'm sure I put it up on the screen. People can read. Yeah.
True. We should we read these out as we
can read them out from now on. Yeah. So Mulan, 5-cost, 4/5, 1 lore. Her ability during your turn, whenever this character banishes another character in a challenge, each of your other characters gains 1 lore value.
Nice. I'm not starting this one. Who's starting this one?
I can start this one.
Jim.
Or do David, you want to?
Jim, go for it.
I got it. Let's go.
You wanted to jump in.
Okay, so I think Mulan's an interesting card. It obviously like supports a go wide strategy, so you have a lot of smaller units out there. Mulan's supposed to come in, somehow get rushed with the pocket watch or something like that to swing in, kill something, and then all of your baby units are questing for 2 to 3. I think this card is probably a C tier card, is where I would put it. I don't think it's totally unplayable, but 4 power isn't really where I want it to be at. And the fact that you would need to do something to give it rush means that you're doing a lot of setup for this. So I could maybe see it in like an Amber Stitch combo or with Amethyst with the pocket watch, but I just feel like there's better things you can be doing, especially with Ruby Amethyst is much more of a control style right now. So I'm going to put it at C. It's not unplayable, but that's where I'm putting it.
Reasonable. Jay? You want to hop in now?
Yeah, I'm about the same. I was ready to say B, but I think C at this point. She was a lot better in the early game where
Mhm.
before we had a bunch of spoilers, and she's still really solid. It's just I don't know what deck you put her in right now. Like I don't know any decks that are like doing well that is running Mulan as like a critical piece of that deck. Or even just I mean, I don't know any red decks that are actually running Mulan compared to running a lot of the other awesome red cards. So I don't think she's terrible. Is she a princess?
Yeah.
So that's a plus for her as well. But yeah, I'll go with C.
Okay. David, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm tempted to give her a B, but I think she has an interesting future development side where I think as things come out or they develop even more of the princess theme, if they do. I mean, these are all ifs. I was thinking, I was like, what would make Mulan really exciting? And I was thinking, like, well, obviously Rush would make her a lot better. Thinking, oh, well, that's a red purple deck, and it's like, well, we have enough red purple out there that doesn't want to play this. I wish it was a shift with a little Mulan in the set, so that you could just pop this down on a nice surprise. I think that would make it a lot better. But at least for now, I'd also give it a C. Boring agreement.
Fair. I think there is one other card that can give a character rush in the game, and it's a red event or not event action card.
Oh
yeah,
cut to the
and
chase.
yeah, I wonder if there's a world where you can play like a green red deck that wants to do that, and maybe like that's where Dr. Facilier's cards like becomes useful, and you can play the rush card for free, give it rush, and surprise your opponent. But I think it's a really meta dependent card. I think it is probably really bad into the current meta where everybody's playing Be Prepared, because you can't go wide really.
You can't.
And
no.
that you have to really, you probably want at least 2-3 other characters on the board for you to feel like you're getting a lot of value out of Mulan. But I think she has potential. I think as the game goes on and as more cards come out, I think she has the potential to get better. So I think C for now makes sense. But I wouldn't be surprised if this bumped up in the future to a higher tier. I also think like the fact that that Tinkerboom exists actually makes this card worse, because people are tending not to play characters that have like a low amount of willpower, and that means that you're less likely to be able to actually like play this to the board and like hit something and banish it, because you probably want to be playing stuff with more than 4 willpower against Tinkerboom. And if the meta is just all units with high willpower, they're not going to line up that well into this Mulan. So
Yeah.
All right, moving it to C.
I like it.
This one's weird. We can probably hit this one real quick, because I think we all probably will agree where it belongs. But we got Te Ka. It is a 6-cost uninkable 8/6, no lore pips, with Reckless, and it doesn't have Rush.
Yeah. It's just way worse than the Maui that's in red.
Yeah, for the same cost.
Yeah, same cost. And this
It's
is
way worse than
uninkable.
Dragonfire. Like
It's worse than a lot of things. All right, this is unplayable. I don't know.
It's unplayable.
It is.
I was waiting for you to cue me up, for a nice.
You said dump it already,
but
so
And there's
I took that as your input.
it's gone.
the fact there's
Next.
also a silver bullet for that card is like that much crazier too.
True. Yeah. I'm so confused by this card.
Now it's so much better at 5 and inkable. Like it just, I don't know.
Yeah. It's very confusing.
It looks sweet in foil, though. I will say that.
Fair.
Oh, instant C tier then if it looks good in foil.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, Aurora. This is a card that has been known for since basically the beginning. We've got 5-cost Aurora, 5 ink, 3/5. Shift 3, so you can pay 3 and put her on top of a cheaper Aurora. And her ability is your other characters gain ward, and she has 2 lore pips as well. David, you haven't started
All right.
yet.
I'm giving her an A. I think mainly for the ward. Again, if Be Prepared wasn't the card, I think we'd see a ton of Aurora. But I think early on I was like, is ward really that good? Now what we're seeing with some of the removal pieces, I wish there was a way that she got around the Be Prepared, or if there's some. But I don't want to look at every card through the lens of Be Prepared. I think in general, I like where she sits at her cost and her shiftability in the right deck, her lore pips and the ward. So I'm giving her an A.
Cool, Jim.
I think this is where like we just have differing opinions for like what A, B, and C means. Because I just don't know what.
Real quick, I think.
Yeah,
okay, so like S is probably this card goes in literally every deck that color has, right? A is probably like, one of the better cards in a top tier deck, and then B is maybe like something that's a bit more flexible. Some, like you're not always going to play it, but it is decent. It is playable. You don't feel bad playing it. C, you're not very excited about it, but there's not a better option. And then we all know what unplayable is.
That's not a terrible definition, but I'm also going to leave it undefined so that no one knows my true definition of what they are. So
that's useful.
Isn't that the point of tier list? It's like it's everyone's opinion, so who even cares about definitions?
Well, sure, but it's just if I'm over here thinking like A tier is like
these are 100% fact. Okay.
Yeah, because like I'm not putting Aurora in most of my blue decks. I think most of my blue is probably just trying to ramp to get to late game, or potentially some like item build kind of thing. So I think the card on its own is a really cool card that does a lot of cool things. I do think there's definitely something to be said that a lot of the biggest removal in the game is like the board clears. So it's like everything else gets ward. It's still good, but definitely gets hurt because of that. Like whether it's Tinkerboom or the Be Prepared. I was going to put this at B, maybe high C, because I just don't know what decks this goes in right now. But the card on its own is sick. But I would have to put it at B tier, probably at best right now.
Mike?
Fair. Jay? Well, you want me to go?
Yeah, you go.
I think I probably put it at probably around B or C. I think it's like fine. I'm not really ever excited to play this card. I understand that there is some value in it, but it also requires you to have stuff on the board already. And I don't really feel like paying 5 for a 3/5 with 2 lore. Like it's kind of bad stats for 5, or at least like kind of mediocre stats for 5. If it itself had ward as well, then I would definitely change my tune there. But I'm not a huge fan. I don't know. I think B is probably fair. Good into some other decks. Good as a tech card, but I don't think it's like a key player in the decks that it exists in.
I really struggle with this one because I think ward is incredibly good. I think it's way better than Jim is letting on for it to be.
That's fair.
There's Hades, Maleficent, Dragonfire, Let It Go. Any of the bounce effects from Genie or the song, Tinkerbell's 2 extra damage. There's so many effects that target a specific character that giving all your characters ward feels really good. And I think that it's understated how powerful that can be. My problem is that she doesn't also have ward. So whenever someone plays this and I have a Genie in hand, I'm just like, oh, bounce your Aurora back to hand. It's like, it doesn't matter if I can't get any of the other ones. I just bounce the Aurora or whatever the situation might be. Or it's like if you have Tinkerbell on board and you play Genie, you bounce the Aurora, now you can still do it anyway. So it's what I don't like is she doesn't. Now if you get 2 Auroras out, that's an S tier. That's an S tier combo right there. So good. But yeah, I'm gonna give her a C because she's got terrible stats and I almost never want to play her. I don't think I've ever shifted this Aurora because why
Not
would
in
I
a
do that?
while. Yeah. The cheaper Auroras aren't very good, so it's hard to justify playing those.
Well, the cheaper one is 4 costs, and you don't want to pay to
Well, there's
put
a
a
2
5
cost as
cost
well.
on a 4 cost, and then there's the 2 costs, which already quests for 2. So it's like, even if you shift, you're not getting any additional lore out of it. I don't know. It just feels weird.
Yep.
Terrible.
Yeah, I tried to do something with like a 5 cost song deck with that and a couple of the other princesses, but even still, it was so hard to pull off.
All right. So I think
high
B
C
was
tier then.
Well, I said C. You and Jim said
We
B,
said B
and
or
then
C.
David said A.
Oh, okay.
Gotta
All
go
right.
B.
So
probably like low B as this builds out. All right. Next up, we've got Robin Hood, 6 cost inkable, 4/4 with 2 lore pips, 2 abilities. One is when you play this card, or when you play this character, if your opponent has more cards than you in their hand,
Draw a
then
card.
you get to draw a card. And the second ability is that it can challenge evasive characters.
So his ability says steal from the rich. It would be so much better if it was discard one from your opponent and you draw one.
Yes, it would be better.
That would be sick. But
That'd be crazy.
Right now, it's just printing more money, not really stealing from the rich. I think this card's mediocre. I used to really like it. And I think in blue decks, if you're not playing purple, you don't have a ton of card draw. So this gives you that card draw. Also, blue doesn't have a lot of good ways to deal with evasive, except for like Let It Go and Hades. So having a way to deal with evasive is good, but it's not until you get to 6 ink. Now, you could say I'm playing blue, so I'll get to 6 ink on turn 4 rather than turn 6. But I don't know. He's decent. I'd probably put him around B if it was me. But I can see an argument for him being worse than that, because 4/4 for a 6 cost is super low.
Fair. Anybody else have an opinion?
No one else plays this card.
I just don't know where you would play it. That's where I'm like, it's got some cool stuff to it, but a 4/4 for 2 for 6, I'm just like, I just don't see where you play it. Like I'm almost like, do we have to put it unplayable because I just don't know where it goes?
All right.
Genuinely,
so we got, what was it? B tier for you, Jay, or C tier?
Yeah, B. I said
B tier for you, unplayable for Jim.
Yeah, let's do it.
David?
My gosh. I give this a high B. I think card draw in this game so far has, like, you're never like, oh, I guess I'll draw a card, or like, sure, or whatever. Like, it's always good to draw a card. That's why Friends is such a high value card. Obviously, it is conditional, but you can always hold this. He does kill or banish other evasives at 4 strength. So,
which a lot of them are that low.
Yeah, the only one that I think it doesn't, there's 2, right? No, there's only 1. Is it just Mickey? Is the only one that this doesn't?
Yeah, Mickey's the only one that has evasive. It has more than 4.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I like it. It is insurance. Like if evasives, it's like one of your cards in your if you're running Sapphire Blue in your quote unquote sideboard, even though sideboarding's not a thing. But it's in your back pocket. Like, okay, if evasives take off, so I put in B.
I think high B is reasonable to me. I've seen this in Lau's red blue control deck with all the items, and it does feel nice to have an extra card that can draw, because you're trying to get to other either answers or combo pieces, like that kind of thing. So I do think it's a decent card. It's also, it being one of your only answers to evasive characters is pretty important. I think I missed one. The Genie, the Shift Genie, is also evasive. I think he's a 5/6 or something.
Oh yeah, you're
so it
right.
doesn't kill that,
but no one plays that.
Yeah. So I like the card. I don't think it's like one of the best cards in that deck though. So I think it's probably B tier.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got 3 Bs and an unplayable, so I'll put it in like low B.
That's fine.
I think I agree.
All right. Next up, one of my favorite cards, obviously.
Yeah, you take this one over. You take this one.
Tamatoa.
Yeah.
So
No one else can
cost,
have an opinion on this.
Inkable, 5/8. 2 abilities. One is when you play this character and when it quests, you get to return an item card from your discard pile to your hand. And the second is that for each item you have in play, it gains +1 lore value. It starts with 1. So I have some mixed feelings about this card because it never works for me, but I've seen it work for other people. Cool card, cool build around. I think it has potential going into the future as more items come out, better item synergy comes out. I think that it's a very fun card to quest with for 7 if you can make it to that point in the game. And yeah, it has one of the highest quest potentials in like the entire game, right? So like even higher than Bell, which is just like guaranteed 5 if you're at 10 resources. This can go well beyond that. And it doesn't like it may seem like it doesn't do anything when it comes into play, but it does get you an item back from your discard pile to your hand, which can be actually relevant. So I think I put this card, if I'm being realistic, as like a high B or like a B tier card, because like I haven't seen it pop off too many times, but the potential's there. I think that the non-foil version is a C tier, but the foil version's an A tier. We'll go with that.
No. I'm right there with you. I think this is a B tier card in today's just one set. I think with more sets, this easily goes up to A and could potentially eventually be an S tier card. This could be one of those cards that eventually there's just so many cards out that you can make this cool combo deck where you play Tamatoa on turn 5 and quest for 100. Like I hope that's what happens eventually. That would be so cool.
Yeah, I mean, I will say 2 things. The 5/8 stat line is really good. And it basically demands an answer. And it draws you a card, essentially. So I do think it has a lot going for it.
I mean, I used to play Triton, and Triton is what, like 5/9?
5/9, yeah.
And this is 1 cost less for 5/8 and has 2 different abilities. Honestly, I could be convinced to put this in A tier.
It's not 1 cost less. It costs more.
Or 1 cost more, sorry.
2 more, right?
Triton 7.
Triton 7.
Triton 7. Yeah, sorry. I said the wrong thing. I'm solid B tier right now with Tamatoa.
All right.
Yep.
What about you guys?
100% agree. I think the fact that like this pairs well with like Fishbone Quill, you can finally run Eye of the Fates, and heck, throw some Magic Golden Flowers in there because you just get them back, and who cares? But I think B for blue is what's happening here, and I would put this above the other 2 by a mile, but still think I'd be.
I'm really tempted to put it in A tier, but David, you look like you're losing your mind over there. So
no, it's fine. I think we've said the word potential so many times, but the reality is like, how often does this really? I've watched a lot of
like 70% of the time, 80%.
Yeah,
of the time.
I've watched so many games with Tamatoa. I've never actually played it myself because I don't have any interest in playing that kind of game. So. I like the idea. I think it's cool. Does it ever actually do what you want it to do? I feel like I'm like, have we switched roles? I'm like, I feel like you're being the red hero player right now, telling me that this is awesome. I think it's a C.
Okay. Well,
I don't blame you.
We're putting it in S tier, so
let's just say
I'm just kidding.
In summary,
I played against Tamatoa more than probably any of us combined, and he's never done anything but go to the inkwell.
That's what, yeah,
but he still made the deck list.
I did
still B tier.
That may have been user error more than anything.
I did open a foil Tamatoa in front of Mike, and I just handed it to him at Gen Con because I was like, I know you're gonna need this.
I've got two now. I need a couple more.
That's fantastic. I will say I do like the flavor in the super rares. Like Legendary had a lot of cool stuff, but all these are very unique cards outside of Te Ka. But
agreed. A lot of them feel like build arounds, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of them don't.
Like Hans.
Yep. So Hans is a 4-cost inkable 3/3 with 2 lore pips and an ability that is whenever this character quests, you may deal 1 damage to chosen character. I actually like this card a lot. I think I think it's good value. I don't think you're really that sad for it to be a 3/3 and for 4. Like you're dealing 1 damage every time it quests, and if you're playing steel, you can play bodyguards to protect it. I don't know. I think it's just like a good little value card. I don't think it's like amazing, but I'm surprised that more people aren't playing it. I'll say.
I'm with you, Mike. I think because if you're running steel, you're definitely running Tinkerboom, and then you're always doing the math game of like, okay, I drop Tinkerboom, I do 1 damage to everybody, and then I got to fight, and then I've got grab your swords, and so you're doing that kind of, and usually those little ping damages can finish stuff off or set you up for something else to make sure you clear characters. So I like Hans. When I'm building steel, I pretty much always include 4 of these.
What was your rank, Mike and David?
I would say B, higher than Aurora.
B, higher than Aurora, David?
Yeah.
It's like if Tamatoa is a B, then this might be S tier. But
oh my gosh!
For your sakes, I will say it's the highest of the Bs that we currently have, at least.
Okay.
Jim?
I'm putting this at C. Because I think it's normally like the last card that I'm cutting in most of the decks that I've tried to build. It's like I could use it, but I'd typically just end up going with something else that maybe has a little bit more synergy. However, I do think this card with Scepter and Tamatoa makes a great little support combo going, get those items rolling. He helps make that happen.
David's over here losing his mind again.
I'm literally staring at Tamatoa and B, and I'm like, my name's gonna be on this video. Oh gosh,
you could have been sick again. Great. But like for me, Hans is like just that card that just always seems to get cut right at the end for me, and so maybe that's why I lose so many games. I don't know. It does a lot of things, but is any of it like all around good? So I'm gonna have to go high C, but. That's right.
All right. He works really well with steel, and questing for 2 and dealing a damage is pretty sick. Like that's sweet.
Nice. Yeah.
3 health though means that the next person that we're going to talk about, Tinkerbell, can swing in, drop, deal 1, swing in, deal 2, and take him out without even blinking an eye. So anything that has 3 health, I'm really hesitant to ever play because of Tinkerbell. If it wasn't for her and you could get bodyguards down, then he's really sick. I mean, questing for 2 and dealing damage, that's a lot.
Yeah,
that's a lot of value.
I think if he quests once, you're pretty happy. If he quests multiple times, you're like
getting a lot.
You're like stoked. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah,
what do you
why
think?
I'll put him at B.
All right, boring, but we all. We're putting them there.
Do we even need to talk about the next one?
I don't think so.
Let's all say it in unison. 1, 2, 3. S tier.
S tier. We all did it.
The card's disgusting.
Right? Yeah, this card's ridiculous. If you don't know what it is, it's a 6-cost inkable somehow. 4/4. Is it a 4/4? 3/4? 4/5.
4/5.
It's too small on my screen now.
4/5. Yeah.
Shift 4. So you play your little Tinkerbell on turn 3. You play this the next turn. When it enters play, it deals 1 damage to all of your opponent's characters. And when it challenges and banishes a character, you get to choose and deal 2 damage to a character. Insane. does everything.
So
Best
good.
steel card, hands down, in the entire game.
And the most expensive super rare I think we've seen.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
which makes sense.
This and Be
And for good
Prepared
reasons.
completely makes you never be able to go wide. Like that's why this
Yeah.
mid-range control is taken over. It's because of this card and Be Prepared.
Mm-hmm.
And swords, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, the fact that this and swords are in the same color is just also gravy. All right.
Good.
Well, we made it through that one. Let's talk about maybe a more controversial one. We've got A Whole New World.
Yeah.
It is a 5-cost uninkable song. Each player discards their hand and draws 7 cards.
Man, I don't even know how to tackle this. I don't even know where I would put it.
I don't either.
Then I'll start. I
Go.
think
Unplayable.
if S tier, I think if S tier, as you defined it, Mike, was the
It goes in every steel deck.
It goes in every steel deck. I think this is S tier. It goes in every steel deck.
Okay.
Like I think at least 2 copies. I have not seen a steel deck.
S tier's 4 copies in every steel deck.
Oh, okay. Let's.
No,
In that
true.
case,
No, it has to be.
That's worse than
If
Tamatoa.
a card is S tier, it has to be good enough that you want. If you could put 10 of them in your deck, you would.
Oh, okay. I thought
That's
you
not what my
went to
S
the
tier
deck.
means.
You'd put 10
Yeah.
Tinkerbells in your deck if you could.
Mine and Jay's S tier just it has
Mike,
to make
the mill
cut.
player, you would put 10 of these in your deck.
No. This is a terrible mill card. Like you mill yourself at the same time you mill your opponent.
Well,
Unless you play 61 cards and then
that's the strategies. People are putting 64 cards in their deck.
I know I've seen it, but I've never seen
And
the
it
deck
works.
actually mill anybody.
Okay.
I still think the value of like having this in your back pocket to reset your hand. Yeah, I know you reset your opponent's hand too, but it can work in your favor if they're working toward a certain play. I'll come with the hot take. I still put it in S tier.
All right. Anybody else?
No way.
Yeah, go, Jay.
Fight me, Jay.
I feel like every time this card has been played against me, I still won the game. Like, I don't know. Refilling your opponent's hand can be brutal.
It's scary. Especially in today's world where everybody's playing gigantic characters that get a ton of value when they enter play.
Not even that, but having like 20 ink because they've been playing magic mirrors and just controlling the whole game. Now you have 20 ink and I just gave you 7 cards. You're going to play 2 Maleficents and whatever else you got. I don't know.
Okay.
But
But on the flip side to that point, because they're playing magic, your opponent has 7 cards already. Or 8, there have been games even I've watched you two play where you've got 8-9 cards. So like in some cases it could be a net, they're not net positive any cards. It's like, oh, they're trading.
Yeah, I mean that's the dream, right? Is when that happens.
Sure.
But I don't think I've ever had that happen. But maybe I just don't play enough. I'm putting this at a solid C.
Solid C. All right, Jim.
So I hear what you're saying, David, about the like flexibility of it, but the fact that you can't ink it means that like in games where they're just having huge hands anyway, it's like you don't really want to play it, and now it just is stuck in your hand. It's like since there's not a sideboard, I just can't see myself putting this in every single deck. But I do think it's higher than a C. It's where it's just.
I just had to go so far against David that I almost said unplayable.
Wow.
We should have got little whiteboards and written down our like score and like reveal them at the same time, just to not influence each other's
we'll do that next
thoughts.
time.
So-
We'll do that next time.
I'm actually going to say low A for this card, and I think it's because in the decks where it does get utilized well, it's a really great card in that deck. But it's not going in every single one of my steel decks because you can't ink it, and it just counters so much of like what I'm wanting to do in a lot of those decks. But in decks where I'm fine to do that and I want to recycle or try to mill, it's one of the best cards in there. So I would probably go low A because of that. That's where I'm going to stick with it.
I think I'm A tier on this card. I think in the decks that it wants to go in, it's a very good card.
Mm-hmm.
And it is something that you can sort of try to build around. But I don't want this in every steel deck. I think that there are some steel decks where you are wanting to do very different. Like I almost don't play this in the same. I mean, I play Tinkerbell in literally every steel deck, but there's like a certain type of Tinkerbell deck that I don't think actually wants a whole new world in it at all. And I do think it's a bit of a a risky card to include because it's not always going to be good, and it is not inkable. So there are going to be times where it's just a dead draw, and you don't want to play this because your opponent's low on cards. It's hard to get tempo with this card unless you're using it, unless you're singing it, because then you sort of let your opponent make a good use out of their new 7-card hand before you do. I think it's good. I think it's a cool card. I don't think it's an S tier card, but yeah, I'm at A. I think Aladdin has more impact when it comes down and does the thing that it wants to do than this does.
I think it's a really cool card because it's kind of just like a combo card, and I love playing combo decks. So I feel like it goes into combo decks really well. So that's one reason I would like it. I'd probably honestly say B. I was messing around with C, but I don't see it being an A or an S.
All right, well, we got a B, an S, and 2 A's. So we're going A with it. Do we? All right, we can reorder these if you guys want. How
no,
I
think Aladdin's better.
Aladdin's got to be better, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know, David. Are you going to yell at us? Are you
well,
going to
no,
want your
I'm just. I'm literally.
This,
it's hard to.
list?
The 1-to-1 is again your words of saying S tier is it goes in every deck. Whole New World goes into every steel deck that I.
It doesn't.
I just don't think it does.
Built. I built. It is my tier list too, and it is my opinion that this goes in every steel deck that I make, and you can't tell me not to.
I want to get paired against
you. Or you can. I just won't listen.
Yeah. All right. We're moving on.
I'm just preemptively hitting the YouTube comments on Tamatoa here.
Let's go.
You're going to get a lot of YouTube comments on A Whole New World, so that's fine. All right. We've got a 5-cost card, Maximus, inkable, 4/5, and it has 1 lore pip, but also bodyguard and support.
Oh, I think this card is gas. This card's really freaking good. I'll give it an A. I think, especially, I haven't been playing it in my Emerald aggro deck, and then I played against you, and you had it, and you were able to just in time it. It's like I gotta slot this in. It's so sweet to just in time, especially in that aggro mirror. I think he's a fantastic card. I'm giving him an A.
I'm also giving an A for the same reasons.
I was going to go S, but sounds like we're good.
All right.
What were you going to say?
Support at 4 is great.
I'm putting him ahead of A Whole New World. Sorry, guys.
Put him over Aladdin.
No. I think Aladdin's still better. But the support is surprisingly good. The fact that it has it. I mean, even when it has bodyguard, it's good, but the support is really
it's
nice,
better because you want to use your bodyguards to quest already, since they won't be taking damage in a challenge in return. So it keeps them healthy to sink for your opponent to have to sink more resources into them. So having support on a bodyguard is just like so.
It's gravy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. All right. We're moving on to Stitch, 6-cost inkable, 3/5. Shift 4, and the ability it has 3 lore pips, quite a lot. The ability is whenever you play a character that costs 2 or less, you can exert that character and draw a card.
David, I think you got some spicy takes on this card. Go ahead and go first.
You just want me to have spicy takes on everything so you can disagree with whatever I say. I could call this S tier or unplayable, and you just do the exact opposite.
Or S tier.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So we lived in this world of slow reveals on Pixelborn, where we lived in the Rockstar meta for a week, where there were no answers, and you could go wide and drop 12 characters, and you're drawing all this stuff, and I mean, everyone was like, "Oh my gosh!" And then they spoiled "Be Prepared," and they're like, "Okay, thank goodness!" Like,
no,
this isn't
it's Tinkerbell first. Tinkerbell and swords.
Oh, you're right. It was swords. Yeah, Tinkerbell and swords. So it's not as good as that 1 week, meta that we had. I don't think it's bad by any means. I think it the stats at like questing for 3 at 6, and you can shift it into. I would. What would I say? Looking at our list, I would give it a low A.
Okay.
Interesting.
Jim.
Yeah, I was going to agree with him. I was just messing with them.
All right.
Because like in fantasy world where you're able to draw 6 cards off of this because you keep playing 1 and 2 costs and fill up your board, you're like, oh my god, greatest card of all time. But it's
not that hard to do.
It's not that fantasy.
Yeah, it happens pretty consistently with this kind of deck.
Well, I was saying, I think even with the board clears that are available, the fact that this can come down on turn 4 and get you 3 lore right away is huge. So it's like even without that ability, this card is still good on turn 4, because they're not going to kill it on turn 4 either. So it's like you could likely get 6 out of it, which again on its own disgusting. So I don't know. I would put easy A for me.
I think if you're not playing against Steel, then the Rockstar Stitch combo is still insanely good. So if you go first and you get Rockstar Stitch and Stitch Dog in your opening hand and you're able to shift on turn 4, your opponent can't play Dragonfire on that following turn because it'll be at 4 ink.
Mm-hmm.
So turn 5, you can go super wide and it will be before they could be prepared on their turn 7. So I think this Rockstar Stitch combo deck is super good into the Amber or the Amethyst Ruby deck right now because you can do it all before they get a chance to wipe your board. The problem is if you play against Steel, you probably are going to lose that game like 9 times out of 10. So,
and it requires you to drop both of those cards before turn 4.
Right. Which is not unlikely with how easy the mulligan is, but it's also not like going to be consistent enough for you to do it every single game. It's still really good though, I think. I'll give him an A.
Yeah, I think
even without the combo, he still quests for 3.
Yeah. I think he's close to being S tier.
Yeah.
So I
think before Tinkerbell and Swords, he was definitely S tier.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And even if Be Prepared exists, I think he's still S tier. But Swords plus Tinkerbell is just too much.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Next up, we've got Ariel. Costs 3 and it's inkable. It's a 2/3 with 1 lore pip, but it has Singer 5. So it can sing 5 cost songs and 4 cost songs. And the ability is when you play this character, look at the top 4 cards of your deck, reveal a song card from that, and put it into your hand. What do we think?
I think this card's super good in the little combo decks. It's just not consistent enough right now to be like super playable, or at least exists in the meta. I think as the game goes on, she'll get even better.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, at some point you'll be able to guarantee. I mean, even now, sometimes you can guarantee that she gets a song on play, but there's not enough good songs for that to be super impactful. I think the more good songs that come out and being able to guarantee you get a card draw every time you play her is going to be pretty solid. So I think she is fine now and will eventually get even better. 2/3 is not awesome for 3 costs, but it's better than Maleficent, who draws a card.
True. At the same cost.
So I'm wiggling between A and B. I'll let you guys sway me which way I'm gonna go.
You know what great song she could sing at Singer 5?
What's that?
Don't.
Swords?
You better sing it if you're gonna say it.
Yeah, grab your sword.
Okay. Because Swords exist, I give Ariel an A. I think for her to be able to do that consistently and not have to pay 5 or use your 5 cost to sing Grab Your Swords, I love that combo. And I do like it for Whole New World as well. But I think her ability to fish out songs, which Jay never remembers to do, is not insignificant. So I like her. I put her as a low A.
Mike forgot to do it too.
Oh yeah.
I've never forgotten anything in a game.
I want like the Amber Sapphire Princess song deck to just pop off. It like feels like it's probably just a little bit away from like actually being really good, but it's playable. So yeah, I still like it as like a low A probably.
I think I'm there too. I think it has a ton of potential. I think like there aren't really any Amber songs that you actually are that excited to sing with her, which is kind of a shame. And I assume that in the future we'll get something that's a lot more interesting than what we have now. So I'm putting it in A now, but songs are kind of busted. So I'm like ready for this card to be S tier. And I think there will be a point in time where this is an S tier card.
I hope so.
You can see all of the song synergy that they've already put in place in just this set too, with like Ursula's necklace and all the other things that they've done with Singer and songs, that eventually there's going to be a deck where it's just like you sing songs for free and you get 100 songs in hand and then you win the game.
There's going to be some Amber card where you just like sing it and gain 3 lore or something like that.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to the purple cards, we've got Marshmallow. Marshmallow is a 6-cost uninkable 5/5 with 1 lore. I almost didn't remember what the ability was because I've never seen this card played. But when you challenge,
spoilers,
when this character is banished in a challenge, you may return it to your hand. So it's just a giant broom.
Giant broom.
I think it's terrible. Nobody likes this card.
I think it's completely unplayable.
No idea what deck this goes in.
I feel like people tried to make it work right when it was announced, and it was just too slow. And the fact that you can't ink it, just like we can be doing better things.
The stats are pretty bad for the cost, and Dr. Facilier, like the big Dr. Facilier, just does this but better to all of your characters.
Yep.
And it has 3 lore. Like why?
And only 1 extra cost and better
shift
stats
ability.
And shift.
Yeah. This card's terrible. No
the
idea
art
why
in
it is.
our unplayable tier has the best art of any tier right now.
Super epic, terrible cards.
That's just sad.
Yeah. So next up, we've got Sorcerer Mickey. He is a 4-cost inkable 3/4 with 2 lore pips, 2 abilities. One is that your brooms cost 1 less. Second ability is whenever one of your brooms is banished in a challenge, you get to return it to your hand. And if people don't know what the brooms are, they're inkable 2-cost 2/2s with 1 lore pip. And when you play them, you get to shuffle a card from a discard pile back into that player's deck.
You know, it's a good revisitation on our Mickey tier list.
Yeah.
Because I said this guy was trash and no one plays him. That's not completely true. Some people play Mickey and the brooms in their purple red decks. I have absolutely no idea why, but they do. And I still think this guy's not that good. Personally. I'll go with the C.
I hate to admit that I agree with Jay, but I agree with Jay.
About time.
I've cooled.
Jim, what do you think?
It's below Mulan. That's all I was going to say. David, you finish
below Mulan. All right. I think I like this card better than you guys like it.
That's fine.
So I've played a deck with this in it that Lau built, and it has this, and it's a purple yellow deck. And I've seen games where you keep shuffling You've Forgotten Me back into your deck over and over again, and just like your opponent just can't play the game because they don't have a hand. That feels pretty cool. I don't think that it's like, I mean, like you can do that with the brooms and not even need this Mickey, truthfully. So I think Mickey is like okay. I would go high C, like low B probably for Mickey. One of my big surprises for this set, like for the first set, is that there is only one broom card. I like looking at this when it was first revealed. I expected there to be like a bunch of different brooms that you'd be able to eventually put into a deck with Mickey.
I think everybody did.
I'm kind of surprised that that's not the case. I think if there were more brooms, I'd like it better. But
that must be why people are playing it in the red purple deck, is so that you can get your Dragonfires and your Be Prepared's back.
Yeah,
to just keep wiping the board over and over again.
I
think that mill strategy a reality.
I think it is like a.
But
really
then that's
good
because
card
the
in
brooms are good.
Yeah,
not because Mickey's good.
Well, you can like the likely scenario is probably like you play a broom or two, and then the next turn you play Mickey, attack with the brooms, have them bounce back to your hand, and then do it again. And just keep shuffling more things in. I think like in the mirror, what you want is like more threats than your opponent, and just like to be able to play more cards over the course of the game than your opponent. So you can shuffle even back in like your Maleficents and stuff like that.
Do you think it's also anti-mill tech?
Yeah, it is. I played.
Is that why people are running it?
I don't think that's why, because I don't think that many people are playing mill. But I did play a couple of games against the sort of like, green steel mill deck that exists, and I was just shuffling. I was using a broom to shuffle a broom into the deck, and then draw that broom, shuffle the other broom in, and just like eventually I got ahead on cards left in my deck. So I think that is a good use case for it. But again, I think you can do that with the brooms without needing Mickey a lot, often. But if you are playing the brooms, Mickey's not like that bad to where
no,
it's not worth playing. But I still think it's probably C. I put it higher than Mulan because it exists in a deck now.
Me too.
I might even be tempted to put it in low B, but I think we all, you guys all put it in C. So,
and Mike, just to be clear, you kind of made a case for Mickey based on Lau's deck building, and that's not really fair because Lau can make any card look like an S tier card.
That is true
with his deck building. So
maybe
I'm sure
maybe
he's got
that's where Tamatoa is skewed
Marshmallow
for me.
deck. Yeah.
Well, he will after he watches this, for sure. So, all right. Last purple card, we've got the Queen. It is an inkable 5-cost 4/5 with 1 lore pip. The ability is exert this card and draw a card. I know that this is one of the cards that goes into what people think is the best deck, which is the red purple deck. What do you guys think about this individual card?
It's probably way better than I give it credit for. I almost always ink this card. Actually, I don't think I've ever actually played this. And
I don't think you have either.
But to be fair, my purple red deck has way too many uninkable cards in it. So when I have it in hand, I have to ink it because I don't have anything else to ink with. So I don't know. I really don't know how to judge this one. I feel like drawing a card every turn is pretty good. It's basically a magic mirror, except it only costs 5 to use it once. And you could use it infinitely if your opponent doesn't get rid of it. Mm-hmm. And the stats are not that bad. So it could almost be read as draw a card and
do 4 damage.
Pseudo removal something. Yeah. So
where do you put it?
I'll go with C.
Okay.
Wow.
I would probably put it a little bit higher than that. I'd put it in the B tier. It's not amazing. It's not bad. I think when I'm building a purple deck, I do tend to include the Queen out of 1. I also think that 5 number is like a weird spot when you're ramping in purple, where a lot of times it just fits that cost curve. But I do think sometimes there are just inevitable times in Lorcana where you end up in top deck mode, and you're fishing, and so it's like that. Oh crap! I don't have an answer, but I've got the Queen at least for if I get really screwed and I need to dig harder for my answers. So I'd give it a B.
Jim, what do you think?
I think this card lets me not have to play Magic Mirror, and because of that, I want to give it an A.
Dude, Magic Mirror has climbed in value.
It's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's crazy to me too. I've seen it.
It's only
good in that one deck.
I think I think it's only good because that deck is so good, and
Yeah.
it means that like you're playing way slower games in
Exactly.
general. But I still don't like Magic Mirror.
No,
And, like-
Magic Mirror in any other deck is trash. But that deck easily gets to like 15 to 20 ink, so you can draw
You
as
draw
much as you want.
3 cards a turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually do like this as a low A, probably above A Whole New World with where we have it right now. Just for me, I'm looking at like Hans at high B. It's another card that like does a cool thing when you quest with it, so it's doing a lot of cool stuff. But drawing a card is just so much more valuable to me. Which I know that like Amethyst can do that well already, but the fact that that's just tacked onto a card that you can just use whenever you need it, for me, it's a low A.
Yeah. I think the thing that has going for it is that it's a weird card for your opponent to have to remove.
Mhm.
And so I think a lot of times they're not going to want to. And the longer it stays out, I think it only has to draw you 1 card and eat 1 card from your opponent to really get value. So I see why it's good. I'm not excited about this card at all. Like,
yeah, I think that's my problem
it's a
with
really
it.
boring card, but I think it is just like fundamentally good. So I agree. It's also A tier.
Did David go yet?
Yeah, I give it a
He
B.
said B.
He gave it a B.
Gave it a B. Mm.
So do we have 2? We have a C, a B, and 2 A's. So
None of us are excited about the card. It's just
Yeah.
really good for what it does.
I think we're putting it here. I think
it's more my play
fine.
style too. It's like I never want to pay 5 for a guy that quests for 1.
yeah.
But I also just like questing for
He
a
did
lot.
with Maximus.
So, yeah, but I'm not paying 5. I'm just in timing Maximus.
Yeah, so you're paying 3 for Maximus. And Maximus also,
Just
when it
in
quests,
time.
lets you deal an extra 4 damage to something immediately. So
Yeah.
that is cool. He's just more exciting for some reason.
He's way more exciting.
And he's a cooler character. All right. Green cards. We've got Genie. 6 cost, uninkable, 3/4 with evasive, 2 lore. And the ability is when this character enters play, you may return a chosen character to your opponent's hand.
I still think this guy's S tier.
I love this card.
Yeah, I'm with
I
you.
still think he's S tier after all this time. I mean, what is there to say? He has 4 health, so he doesn't die immediately to Tinkerbell, dropping and then swinging in. He quests for 2. He's got evasive, so it's hard to deal with him unless you have ways to deal with evasive. And he bounces a guy. I love playing green, and tempo green is like my favorite thing to do. So this slots
so
right
fun.
in there perfectly.
All right.
Easy.
So we got S tier from Jay. Jim, David.
I would say worse than Tinker Boom, but still an S tier.
Okay.
I would just do put this in all of my Emerald decks.
What about you, David?
Yeah, I hate agreeing with Jay, but if I'm running green, there's like no scenario right now where I'm not running for Genie. So
It's not even true for me. My Emerald Amber deck does not run Genie, but I still think he's an S tier card.
That's why I'm putting it in like the highest possible A tier, because
Trash.
I also don't put it. Well, no, because I had it in my Emerald Amber deck and it lost me the game. If it would have been almost any other card, I mulliganed into 2 of them and didn't play them the entire game because I couldn't get
That's
to 6
fair.
ink. So I think I don't think that it goes in every Emerald deck that exists, but I do think that in the decks that it is good in, it's like one of the best cards in that deck. I'm still putting it in the highest possible A. I don't think it's quite S tier, but I think it is very, very good. I think as a standalone card without like any context, it's an S tier card. But in context of the game and of like the meta and everything, I think it's A. There's also a lot of like times where like you really don't want to bounce your opponent's Hades or their Maleficent or whatever, and you know
that's
you can
true.
get into a situation where that's the only character that your opponent has on the board, and then you play this and there's not much of an effect. So we can put an S, though. All 3 of you guys said S. I also find it very funny and interesting that Tinker Boom is like a $25 card and Genie's like a $3 card.
It's crazy to me.
Absolutely nuts.
Oh, I think there's still a huge gap between Tinkerbell and Genie. Even though Genie, or they're both S tier, I think Tinkerbell is literally a step above.
S plus plus.
If there was a tier above S, Tinkerbell would be there. All right, we've got Mickey Mouse, Artful Rogue, 7 cost, uninkable, 6/5 with 2 lore pips, shift 5, so you can play it onto one of your other Mickeys. And the ability is whenever you play an action card, chosen opposing character can't quest. What do you guys think?
I think I haven't cracked the code with this one yet. And once I crack the code, he will be A tier minimum. But I haven't played him enough to try.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just don't. I think once there's a lot of actions out and I can play Dr. Facilier's cards and just play actions for free, this dude's going to be a beast.
Yeah.
But until I can do that, I'm giving I almost want to say C.
It's reasonable.
And I think he's really good. It's just I don't think he's good enough. He doesn't have a deck.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I'm not putting him in any of my green decks right now. So does that mean he's unplayable?
No, I don't think so. Because you could, right? Like you could imagine it.
I mean, I could play Marshmallow.
No, you can't. I've seen this do some work in some green decks.
Okay.
I don't think it's. I definitely don't think it's worse than Te Ka and Marshmallow. I think it's on the same level as like Mulan right now, where it's like a decent card, but it's not. It doesn't have a home yet.
Okay. That's what I feel like. I feel like he doesn't have that enough cards yet. He doesn't have enough support. So I'm putting C, but I'm telling you, one day I'm gonna be playing him every game. It's gonna be an A minimum.
I said Robin Hood was unplayable, and I do have to say this one's unplayable as well. But the flip side is Mickey's going to go up. I think Robin Hood actually becomes more unplayable as the game goes on.
I actually agree with that. Yeah, I think Robin Hood gets less interesting as more Sapphire cards come out.
Yeah,
this card gets more interesting as more action cards come out.
Right.
I love the way Mike said, I actually agree with that. Like, Mike's never agreed with Jim on anything.
No, this is the first time. I'm shocked.
I was like shaking through the computer screen now, like, we did it. We're friends. This is wonderful.
I have not played this at all. I'm waiting for someone like Lau to crack the code and tell me how to play this.
Help us.
So I'll just put it in C. I don't think he's unplayable.
We're gonna have to have Lau come on to some video that we do and just like give us some deck building tips. Just
that'd be great.
Teach us the ways.
Yep.
All right. So where'd you put it, David?
I put it in C because I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like
it's the one I'm least sure about in this whole list.
Yeah, I'm there too. I think it doesn't have a home. I think it is a very cool card. I think there's 2 things that will push it in the future. One is better cheap Mickeys, even in other colors. I think this is like borderline like decent in blue green because you can play this on top of your ramp Mickey. And that's like kind of sweet. And you can do that on turn 4 because you ramped with Mickey. So, I actually think that that's kind of sweet. The things I don't like about it is that it's a 6/5. I would like it way better if it was a 5/6 instead. And the other thing is that obviously as more action cards come out and cheaper action cards, this potentially gets better. It's also uninkable, which is a little rough. In green, you're already playing probably Genie. It's hard to justify like Genie plus this plus whatever uninkable cards you want to play in the other ones. Plus Cusco. So I think Genie and Cusco like might be like the biggest reasons why this card isn't played is because it's also uninkable and is in the same color and wants to go in probably a similar deck. But I don't know. I like this card. I'm down to put it in C as well, but I think
And like all the
let's watch this
actions,
one.
all the actions in green are unequal.
Yeah.
Mother knows
Mother knows
best and do it again.
Do it again.
And then Dr. Facilier's cards are unequal.
Oh
There's
yeah.
just
Yep.
so many
That's just a
unequal
lot.
things to make this synergy work.
Yeah. Yep. And if you're playing it in blue, the other Mickey's uninkable too. So it's just, I don't know. The fact that it's uninkable, I'm kind of glad that it's uninkable, because when this card becomes good, it's going to be the most annoying card in the entire game. So I guess we should be careful what we wish for. Lastly, we've got Mother Gothel. It is a 6-cost inkable 3/6 with 2 lore pips and an ability. While this character is exerted, opposing characters can't quest.
Take it away, Mike.
Spicy.
What you think?
Me,
close this out.
I've never played this card personally, but I haven't really played any green decks that like play towards this strategy. So I don't know if I'm the best person to give a take on this. I think it's probably like B. Like the stats are pretty decent for its cost already, and then your opposing characters not being able to ink or quest is just like good always.
So I've played quite a bit of her. I just really like Emerald. I like green decks, and not to be skewed by one game in particular, but there was one game I was playing where I was losing 17-6, and I got 2 Mother Gothels out, and came back and won, like from down 17-6, because it's like, okay, if she's exerted, then he's spending multiple, and obviously this was not a game with like Be Prepared and some of the stuff we're seeing in the meta now. This was probably a month ago, but my opponent had to spend so much time dealing with her, and meanwhile a lot of like the Emerald characters that we see like have multiple lore pips, so you get 2 or 3 Emerald guys that like you're 2 or 3 turns away from winning, and she quests for 2, so it was like 2 of her and a Mad Hatter. That's 8 lore right there, and they're not dealing with Mad Hatter because they've got to get her. It was just she presents really awkward scenarios sometimes for your opponent, and I like cards that force your opponent to overthink and potentially make a mistake. So I really like her. I'm putting her in A.
Sweet.
Jim?
I want to go S, but I think A tier is probably where I'm landing on this one too. Just because, it's really great when it stops your opponent, and it does kind of force some awkward, like, go wide strategies now have to attack into you, but I don't think it goes in everyone. And I feel like most of the time I just ink this card when I do play it, but it always finds a way to get into my list. But yeah, I'll say A.
What about you, Jay?
I struggle. I love this card. I am tempted. I'm going to say I'm putting this in the S tier.
Come on.
I think she's incredibly powerful. I think she has one of the best abilities in the game. Preventing your opponent from questing just by being exerted is insane.
Compare her to Gantu.
No.
From fighting.
That's why it's so good. If they're both on the board, no 2 costs or lower can do anything. They can't challenge or quest.
They can sing 2-cost songs.
Yeah, you're right. They can sing 2-cost songs. But no, more seriously, I think she's incredibly good. She does counter like go wide strategies that are just about a bunch of low cost characters. She counters Cusco, ironically. That's also in green because you don't have to choose Cusco. And now Cusco has to either just sit there or challenge. So this is specifically good in a blue-green deck too, because you're going to get to 6 a lot faster so that you can have an effect with this against Cusco that's going to be coming in on turn 3 or 5, whichever one, depending on how lucky they got in their mulligan. I like playing this card. So
I have a couple issues with it now after thinking about it. One is that you get nothing the turn that you play this.
Yeah.
The second is that your opponent can play 1 card to remove this, and then all of a sudden you're like 2 turns behind now because you have to then play it again if they bounce it, let's say. Let's say you're playing this against green. They have Genie. You play Mother Gothel. You exert it to quest or whatever. And then they just play Genie and then quest with all their stuff anyway and bounce your Mother Gothel. Or if they Dragonfire, Maleficent, Hades. Like there's so many ways to remove a single character in this game now that are common.
That's why you got to play with Aurora. I told you guys Aurora is better than a B.
with Aurora,
green, blue,
sure.
Aurora.
Yeah, green, blue. I mean, maybe this goes into the green, blue deck with this.
Everything
Artful
you're
Rogue
saying,
Mickey.
though,
I don't know.
Like if you're playing against red and they beat it with a Maleficent or a Dragonfire, they're probably not questing for a lot
just don't
anyway.
Play it in that deck against that deck anyway. Like does it actually do that much in that matchup?
I mean, it's fine. It's just 2 quester that has 6 health.
Sure,
but if they're probably not playing, they're not questing for a lot anyway, so it doesn't matter if they remove it with that. If you're playing against green that's playing Genie, they're probably not aggro, so they're probably not going to be questing for a lot. They're still having to deal with it. I mean, it could be anything. Like the argument of having 1 card removal is like that could be said for any character. You play Tamatoa and they're going to quest for 10 on your next turn and win. Oh, well, I played Genie, bounce it. Like,
yeah, but you got something out of that card before they did that.
Yeah, Tamatoa, you get a item from your discard pile.
So like Tamatoa, Genie, Aladdin, like I mean even Rockstar Stitch if you play it alongside other cheap characters. I don't know. I always lean towards cards where if your opponent removes them on their turn, you got at least some value out of it on your turn before they did that. I still think this card's really good, but I don't know. I don't think it's an S tier card.
So what do we say? We got 2 A's, an S, and a B.
Yeah.
So an A tier.
Yep. Where do we think it lands? Here? Maybe here?
Yeah.
Here?
I think it's better than Maximus, yeah.
I think it's more exciting than Maximus, but I don't know. I do have a genuine question. Do y'all think because they printed Mother Gothel, that's why Gantu's so bad? Like, what if Gantu didn't have the cost 2 part of it before we got here? And then now that we have Mother Gothel, it's like, oh, wow, we can't just lock people out. I'm curious if that was part of their design.
That's a good question.
So now that we've got this list, do we need to make any adjustments? Like,
what color is the best?
Further?
What color has the best super rares?
I think
gray.
Amber's got all 3 in A.
They're all in A tier.
But then there's a SAB with gray, which would be evened out.
I think
SAB.
I mean, gray has Tinkerboom, so it's just automatically the best, right?
Yeah.
Purple has the worst.
Yeah, it does. Definitely.
And we see purple.
It's tied with red.
But it has the best commons. Yeah. That's the difference, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Right. Purple and red both have the worst, and they both are in the best deck.
Yep.
So we still good with that Tamatoa and B, or we move?
I'm tempted to put it higher.
That's where you were going.
I think it's probably.
That's where you were going.
I think this is the real two of us, guys.
Gosh, please make this be the thumbnail.
I'm not in this.
Make this be the thumbnail, please.
Block out my name.
Everything else is blurred out except Tamatoa top of S tier.
All right, guys. If you enjoyed this video, thank you guys for watching. Tell us how wrong we were in the comments, please. Especially David. So tell David how wrong he was. I'm sure he'll love that. We'll see you guys on the next one.